Did you even sleep? Let's even start from there.
Of course, nobody can. I can't do without sleeping, of course. But I would say I did not really have the best sleep habit during part of.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'll be having a conversation with a distinction medical student. We'll be exploring the strategies, discipline, and the whole stuff he used to achieve his academic excellence. So first thing first, let's get to know who our distinction student is. So tell us your name, your level, and the courses you had distinction at.
Okay, my name is Victor. I'm currently 500 level, and I had a distinction in histopathology, hematology, and chemical pathology.
All right, that's very very good. Congratulations on. Okay, so now we have some questions for you. So, number one, can you tell us about the resources, the textbooks you use, the sites you use, and the videos you watched? Any special app you use that help you get this decision?
Okay, I would say I use typical textbooks. The chemical pathology use Martin Crook. Hematology use Hove Brown. It's just the typical textbooks I used, but I usually make use of YouTube videos a lot. So creators like Ninja Neds are people that I frequent a lot. Then for majority of times, if I'm not able to get the information I want from the textbooks and videos, then I refer to ChatGPT to break down some concepts that I really don't understand so much. So it's a very interactive AI that I use. So when I ask questions, oh, break it down, break it down, break it down. By the end of the day, I understand what I'm trying to read. So that's what I do.
All right, thank you very much for that. So, our second questions: what do you think, material or textbook, which is better, and how did you do it?
Okay, I would say that materials are very important for passing exams, but if you want to expand on what you know, you must read textbooks. I usually use both of them. I read the materials and I go to textbook for further understanding of the concepts and the material. So I would not say you should choose one over the other. If you focus too much on textbooks, you might not pass an exam. But if you focus too much on materials, then you may only pass an exam and have nothing in your head. So that's just my take on that.
Yes, plus some lecturer they like garbage in, garbage out. So you need to read their materials to know the details and give them what you really want. So thank you for that. Our third question: did you attend any tutorial and do you have a reading group?
Okay, I am not a big fan of tutorials. People use it and it's very effective for them, but for
Yes.
me, majority of the time I just see it as a waste of time because I mostly read ahead. So if it's something I already understand, to sit down for 2 hours listening for something I already understand
That's
is really
true.
not so worth it for me. So I just
Yeah.
mostly just stick to my reading. Then yes, part of discussion groups, of course. It's very important. I like to talk about things I've read. So if I've read something, I have to talk about it. So among my reading partners, among my friends, I'm always talking about what I've read. So it is very very effective. Yes.
And if you discuss a lot, I feel it will stick to your brain more. Okay, so another question: how early did you start preparing for your part and farm exams?
I started reading for Pan Farm exams 3 months before the classes resumed. So I already had a schedule beforehand of what was going to be taught during the classes. So I just started reading ahead so that when the classes officially began, I was way ahead and I could understand much better than most people in the class with me. You get so yes, I started reading very very early. Yeah.
Wow, that's very, very good. So, if you've not started reading for your part and farm exam, carry your book, does those materials, start reading now. You heard what our distinction student said. So, another question: what was your study routine like? Did you have any break? Did you attend night class?
I would say for the most part, my schedule was very, very tight. I was very, very hectic. I did not really take so much breaks during the class periods. I was very devoted. I would not want to exaggerate, but that's just the fact. Um, I would always be coming to school in night class, read probably to 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then have some rest, and come back for 8 a.m. classes. And then when we close from classes by around like 5, and I go home, have my bath, and come back for night class again around 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and read again the next morning. So that was mostly it. So in sickness and in health, I was always very consistent with my reading patterns. Yes,
Okay, that means you're sleeping. Did you even sleep? Let's even start from there.
of course, nobody can. I can't do without sleeping, of course. But I would say I did not really have the best sleep habit during part of my class. Yes.
I hope you guys are listening. All right. So, did you do any politics or business during your part and farm period?
I am not really a fan of politics. There's people that did politics and they
Yes.
could they were able to couple it with their reading, but I'm not really a fan of politics. But for business, yes, I was able to just do some online freelancing. I normally
Yeah.
write, so that's what I just did during part of my period.
Okay, so were you able to balance it? Did anyone lag behind?
I would say that if you are devoting your time, a lot of time to something, then others are going to have to suffer for it. So, I would not say that you can't work while you're in part of class, but you will not be at max productivity. We have to
That's
suffer.
what, yes.
You might be able to do a thing or two, but if you're really being devoted and focused on the class, then you won't really have much time to do business or work.
Yes, plus you understand that most of you do it for the money, but just try to balance things. Okay. So, did you attend any lectures? And do you think it's necessary to attend lectures? Because some students they don't attend lectures. They believe that they can just stay at home, read their book, and pass. What do you think about that?
I would say for preclinicals that you can do that. You can miss a lot of lectures and still be able to just read your anatomy, your study textbooks and
Yes,
those. But
that's
when
true.
it comes to clinical exams, you really cannot do without classes
Yeah.
because you know that it's very broad. You can never finish your clinical work, you understand? So like
Mhm.
coming to classes will give you an idea of where to read and how to read. And then some of the lecturers will even give hints on where they will set their questions in during the
Yes,
classes. So
yes,
I did not really miss classes when I was in Panama class. So it's very, very important you go to class. Or if you're not even going, you make sure you're always getting notes from the class at the very
yes.
least.
Notes and
Of course, of
recordings.
course, of course, yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. So, is there a formula, a code, or a secret to having distinction? Can you tell us the special routine that worked for you and those things you think helped you achieve this distinction?
I would not say there's a code because if there was a code or a way,
Everybody
then
will have
everybody
a
would have been having
distinction.
distinctions
Yes.
exactly. So or I would have even been having decisions from
Hmm.
when I was in basic. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say it mostly falls down to luck, especially in
Okay.
a system like this where you have to have 70% all round in the course.
Now,
So it's more than just being intelligent or reading a lot of things. You just have to be lucky that you are always above that margin because I believe that there are lots of people that read more than me when it comes to the pattern class, but some of them were not too lucky. You understand? You have 68 over 100 and you have already fallen out of the race. So luck has a very big role to play. Aside from that, I would say that you must always try to read to understand. Aside from just cramming stuff to just pass your MCQs, you must read to perfectly understand what you are reading. Because when it comes
yes.
to the oral part of the exams, you are going
Driver.
to be tested for all the scores that you've had. So you must actually understand the words you have been reading to properly defend yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very, very important. So, is it possible to combine med school and relationship? What do you think?
I would say yes, yes. Like any other thing in life that requires devotion, it just depends on first of all your priorities. It depends on your priorities. If you prioritize your academics too much, way more than relationship, of course, it's going to suffer. And if you
Yeah.
prioritize relationship way much than
More
your
than you're going
academics,
to
it's
suffer.
going to suffer. So it just
Yes.
depends on how much you can balance your time, balance your devotions, and just like any other thing, it just depends on how you balance your time. That's what I'm going to say about that. Yeah.
Yes, and if you know that you cannot balance your time, you know that you cannot carry. Some people they don't know how to multitask. They don't know how to carry too much things at a time. Just stay away out of it. Okay, so what about spirituality? Do you think spirituality has any attributes to having distinction in med school?
I would say yes. I would say yes because, firstly, spirituality provides a very strong psychological support for you during that period. We know during the pandemic period, there are a lot of fears. Am I doing enough? How much do I really know? Am I ready for this exam? You think a lot of those things, and you're always afraid. Sometimes you sit down, you're thinking, how much do I even really know about this course? And you find out that you don't really know so much, or you feel like you don't know so much. But with spirituality, you can sometimes it just provides that support that I know I'm not going to fail because God cannot
Yes,
fail,
God
so
has
I
your
can I
back.
cannot fail that kind of
Yes.
thing. So it just provides that for you. And secondly, for those that actually believe, I believe that my prayers are very effective. So during the entire period of the class, I was praying. I prayed for a distinction. I said, God, I want this, I want this, I want this. I've read this much. Please multiply my efforts, like that kind of
Yes.
thing. So it is very important. For people that don't believe, it might not really be a big deal to them. But for those
Okay.
that
I
believe,
believe.
hold God tight during that period. I beg it actually helps. Actually helps.
Yes, plus there's one saying that they will say read like you never prayed and prayed like you never read. Okay, so what's your advice to preclinical students and those students that are also preparing to write their part and farm exam? What's your advice to them?
Okay, I would say that in everything you are doing, put in your maximum effort. One of the thoughts I had during the part of period was that I want to leave the class knowing that I did the best I could do. So let it not be that I left and I was like, if only I read for a few more hours, if only I read, I put in more effort, if only I read more past questions. Just do the best of your ability so that whatever happens, you are assured that you did your possible best and you are not regrets. So yeah, that's my
Okay, what about those that are already discouraged? Those that, and what about those that have not even started reading? Because I know that some people they've not started reading, and some people they started reading, but no, not so much like that. So, do you have anything to say to them?
I would say that in academics, the only short thing is exams. As long as you're not writing exams, you can always catch up. And even though you have written some exams and you are not really so happy with what you got, you always have time. There's always time for to read. There's always time to catch up. It just depends on how effective you read. You understand? If you know you have 3 weeks to read, there should be a certain way you read. If you know you have 2 weeks to read, there should be a certain way you read. You understand? So there's nobody that's too intelligent. There's nobody that's so far ahead. As long as you know what you are doing, you can read and you can interact, you can talk. I don't really see anybody having any issues in that class. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for being on this program with us. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for sharing your idea with us. We're really, really grateful. Thank you very much. So everyone, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share to all your friends. Plus, if you have any other questions you want to ask, please drop it in the comment section. We'll do well to answer you. Thank you very much. Toodles.